Hey guys, this is Emmtrace. Welcome to the first ever Nerd Talk, where I and SNF will be discussing in horrifying detail the classes of Rogue Legacy.
Alright, so I'd like to start this out by making a public service announcement. The Archmage sucks.
The Archmage sucks?
The Archmage sucks.
I agree with you, actually.
I knew you would. Because everybody that plays the Archmage just, within 10 seconds of playing him, they realize, God, this guy sucks. And then everybody they get the reroll function in their mansion just specifically so that if they get, nothing but Archmages, they can roll out of that shit.
The triple Archmage.
I've suffered from that before. It can happen.
And the problem is, there's really only one instance I can think of that you would want to have an Archmage, and that would be if you're an autist and would have to have every tool available in a single clear to get, say, that fairy chest that's behind a wall.
Did you say if you were autistic?
No, if you're an autist.
Oh.
Which, yeah, if you're autistic. You would need to have everything, every tool at your disposal in your repertoire to be able to get that lone fairy chest behind a massive granite wall.
Oh yeah, it's that fairy chest that's sitting back there, and you run up. There's the 6 feet of brick between you and two of those plinky guys. You're always a Hokage with the little quantum translocator ability.
If only I were an Archmage, I could get that fairy chest. That's the only situation, and honestly, just go die and come back with an heir, lock the castle, that chest.
That's pretty much what I do. If I'm the Archmage, that is. I just run in and find some spikes.
And die. Just kill yourself if you're playing an Archmage. Just kill the Archmage.
We're not advocating suicide here, guys.
No, but kill the Archmage. There are better mages that aren't even the Archmage. Pick a spell sword, honestly. This is what the Archmage should have been. You can amplify the magical abilities. You can take them up a notch. Instead of having, the little shiv that you throw at people, now you've got a fucking...
The broadsword. Just shooting broadswords.
You're shooting broadswords, that's what you're doing.
You're shooting swords made of broads at people, and it does double damage.
It is next level Archmage. It is Archmage squared.
The crowning achievement of the spell sword is the fact that, unlike the Archmage, this guy actually has the ability to regenerate mana. You would think that would be crucial for any caster class, wouldn't you? But no, the Archmage doesn't have that. The spell sword, however, does.
And to be clear here, you siphon mana on hit, versus the Archmage, you vamp it on a kill, which sucks for the Archmage. For the spell sword, that's amazing.
Which means you can actually use it against bosses? What other casters do we have in our plethora of Rogue Legacy classes?
Well, you've got the Lich, and as far as AoEs go, the Ravens have saved my ass more than one occasion. There have been some ML Ravens that have just torn apart those, infinite projectiles on screen that you're about to get shit on, and then all of a sudden, just boom, Crowstorm all over the place.
YOLO MLG.
YOLO MLG Ravens, just destroying everything. And you scale. If you time in on the Lich, you get huge.
The reason you play the Lich is for the reason that you think you would play the Archmage. I realize I'm hating on the Archmage quite a bit, but I just hate him. So, the reason you play Lich is because you're farming, and because he does AoE damage, like you would expect a caster to do, I suppose. And he actually has a huge mana pool by the time you're done farming him. And he does more damage. And he always has a completely badass AoE spell, like the Ravens.
The MLG Raven.
The YOLO MLG Ravens. So it's there's absolutely no reason to pick the Archmage, and consequently there's no reason to talk about the Archmage in any more. Just don't talk about him anymore, okay? You're cut off.
The other caster we have would of course be the Dragon.
When you pick the Dragon class, you are making the conscious decision to take Rogue Legacy from a 2D side-scrolling Ghosts and Ghouls adventure, and you just turn it straight to Gradius. You're flying a spaceship through a castle, you're shooting little laser beams, but it's just It's wrong. It's not even right. It's wrong.
It doesn't feel like it's not the way I enjoy playing the game. I've spent some time on the dragon, and there have been some situations where there's that fairy chest that looks just simply impossible to get. Well, just use the dragon. Like, and in those cases, I love the dragon. But otherwise, that's not the way I prefer to play the game. Now, I'm sure there are some people who are just incredible at using the dragon to mow through a castle. But for me, it's just not the way I want to play the game.
It's just, he's more like an endgame guy, kind of like the assassin, but you have to spec into intelligence and reduce mana cost just to make the dragon like actually do decent damage, and that severely gimps all the other classes. So it's like, if you're playing the dragon class, you're playing Rogue Legacy just to play the dragon. I mean, if you want to play the dragon well, yeah, you have to concentrate on dragon traits, not
and ignore
everybody
the rest.
traits.
So, as far as farmers go, we have the Spelunker, who is pretty awesome. The gold bonus is great. He's a little weak, sort of. He's not as bad as the class which shall not be named, but overall, a pretty good class for farming.
Alright. You forgot entirely to mention the benefits of the Spelunker GPS.
The GPS.
The GPS. The built-in Google map.
It's there. It's there.
It's pretty handy. Especially when you get into like Legacy Plus and fighting anything sucks. You want to avoid fighting whatever you see. So you grab the Spelunker and you're like, man, Ghost. Yeah, screw that. I'm going for the chest. Go straight to Farm Town, man. You know what I'm talking about?
So I think the GPS is a cool perk, but for me, if I'm farming the castle, I'm gonna pretty much farm the entire castle. I'm gonna go into every room by default. So while like the GPS for me seems like a nice perk, it's not something that sells me on the Spelunker being my favorite farmer. Do you agree?
Alright, so what you're saying here is you don't understand the power of the gold gain bonus, dear friend. Because that Spelunker is always going to get that additional 30% gold.
So I disagree with you entirely, and for me, I would go with the Hokage as being the best farmer, and the reason is because you have the movement speed, and then on top of the movement speed, you have sweet base attack damage. So while you might have the extra % on the Spelunker, for me, I think, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm pretty sure you could get more GPM out of the Hokage at lower levels, assuming that you don't have like a full crit build completed. I feel like you could get more on the Hokage than you could on the Spelunker if we're talking about just straight up farming.
Yeah, but farming in Rogue Legacy, it's not like League of Legends. You're not doing GPM, you're doing gold per run, because every time that you have to restart, you have to talk to the good old toll master guy. What's his name? Charon. That guy. He kindly reminds you every time you enter that castle you have to pay the toll. So GPM, even if you cleared the whole castle with both characters, you're just gonna get more from the Spelunker. It's just mathematics, my friend. The Spelunker Master Farmer. He is the Farmer
Okay.
John of Rogue Legacy. He's the Ni-Hao of our time.
So there's one other high damage bro that we have yet to cover, which would be the Assassin, who's like, man, if you would take the Hokage and give him the Assassin's class ability, I'd go for a Hokage like 100% of the time, but Assassin, he's a late game hero.
This guy, he's bad in the beginning. He might get a crit, but you're still gonna just hit for nothing, and then you're just gonna get walloped by the next night or something and just die. But later on, after some farming, when you get some health and some crit damage and stuff, this guy just turns into a straight up like hoss, just drops people.
So in the beginning of the game, it's worth picking up the Hokage because of course he has the highest base damage, but then he drops off to the Assassin once you get the crit damage and the crit chance. So, and the Assassin has an amazing class ability. Like, the stealth is one of the best. class abilities?
It's probably my second favorite. And it is second favorite to the most incredible, the most powerful, just the most gorgeous class ability I've ever seen in my life. Do you know what that is, my friend?
I'm gonna guess the Archmage's ability to have
Hey, we don't talk about the
different-
Archmage.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, man, the Ra Fusto. It's just, it's beautiful. The Barbarian King is hands down my favorite character in the whole game, because he's so friendly to noobs with that giant HP pool. Like when you first start playing the game and you suck and you're just taking hits left and right, like he's there for you. He's got your back, man. He's like, you got hit by that knight? Don't worry about it, man. I've got 150% HP. You just keep going. And eventually you find that first boss.
50%.
150% HP. I don't think you understand how real that is. But yeah, he might be a tiny bit weak. He's only 75% strength, but he's got that shout which just makes him invulnerable to shit. And then 150% HP. Oh, so good.
When you have the blizzard of projectiles on your screen, when you've got the just tsunami of shit on your screen, it just boom, one shout, it's gone. I think one of the two most noob-friendly classes in game. And the thing is, even if you're an experienced player and you're getting later on into the game or Legacy Plus, it's still a great class. Like, it doesn't fall off. And the other noob-friendly class would be the Paladin, and the Paladin is, I'd say, a little bit inferior to the Barbarian King, just because of his class ability, which is the block, and of course the stone form. And they're simply not as good. Like, I mean, you can block a projectile here or there, but it costs you per block.
I agree with you. It does definitely take the back seat to the Barbarian's class ability, because you're using it primarily to block projectiles, and against bosses you can only use it to block projectiles. So the thing is, when you block a projectile, the Paladin shield renders you immobile. The Barbarian shout doesn't do anything of the sort, and it costs less. So you have mobility with the shout, and you can block all the damage that you're trying to block with the Paladin shield anyway.
And it feels like the block is a very reactive ability, whereas you can go quite offensive with the Barbarian shout. I mean, you can use it and just start mowing through enemies, whereas with the block or even the stone form, I mean, it's a reactive ability. It's kind of like an oh shit move. And since it's so expensive, you can only use that oh shit move so many times before you're totally Now, the Paladin, of course, does receive the great benefit of having 100% in all the stats. So you got 100% HP, you got 100% mana, strength, and intelligence. It is still a very well-rounded class, but I'd say second to the Barbarian for new players.
Alright, so if you had to pick your favorite class, Tilsnf, what would it be?
My favorite class would be the Hokage, because I feel he is an amazing farmer, and he's just great at clearing the castle. Now, that being said, he falls off to the assassin. So if I could pick two favorites, it's probably not allowed, but I'm going to anyways. I would say also the assassin, once you get the abilities, the crit damage and the crit percentage. Once you have that, the assassin is a little bit superior to the Hokage, but those two favorites. And what would your favorite classes be?
When I'm not playing the Archmage, which is rare, I'm playing the Barbarian King. Okay, never the Queen. Hail the King.
Chauvinist.
Alright, so that wraps things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to give us a like. Check back later for more videos on more games and slightly opinionated nerd talk. Till next time.